Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Security Pod. I'm Jonathan,
And Brad,
and we're your hosts. And today we're going to be talking about a number of different things, mostly on communication. What do you have to say, Brad, about that?
communication is important because reasons. I like to be silly. No, communication is a big cornerstone of what we do here in this industry, obviously. Um, as I think a lot of you guys know, we're always trying to achieve compliance from people, and the best way to achieve that is through good, effective communication and de-escalation skills. So we're going to give you guys some tips and go over a few different ideas, and we'll even talk about some tools, won't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to start off with a video review. We've got a video YouTube here. It's got about 80,000 views. It's about 7 years old, and it's titled Toronto Cops Fighting Punching Man on Queen and Spadina. Spadina. I'm not from Toronto.
Spadina.
Spadina. There you go.
Spadina. For you non-Toronto people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're all ready there, Brad?
I am ready on my end.
Awesome. All right, let's play the video now.
Honk honk.
Lovely sounds of Toronto.
I didn't do nothing, man. Yeah, I'm gonna stop, man. I'm gonna stop, man. Yo, let me talk. Okay? Yo. Yo, I didn't do nothing, man. Yo, I didn't do nothing. Yo, I didn't do nothing. Yo, I didn't do nothing, man. Yo, I didn't do. Yo, what the fuck I did? What the fuck did I do, man? What the fuck did I do, man? Huh?
I like the lady in the background just trying to get through without being noticed there.
You know you're used to stuff like that, Len.
Yeah.
Yo, sir, I'm going to my program, man. I didn't do nothing, man. Calm down. Huh? What am I gonna stop for? Huh? Yo, what am I stop for, man? Yo, what am I stop for? Huh? Yo, what am I stop for, man? Sir, what am I stop for, sir? Sir, I gotta be. Sir, what? I'm not stop for.
Advice is for domestic assault.
Yo, I didn't do no. When did
And I additional charge of resist arrest.
when did I get charged with that? When?
So like a minute 35 seconds in, we finally find out what he's under arrest for.
Yeah.
We're gonna get somebody here. Sign your face.
All right.
Thoughts?
So, I don't want to be another podcast or YouTube channel sort of critiquing the work that police officers do, just because they do a really terrific job. I find
Yep.
what they're given for sure. I'm not a police officer, never have been, so I'm not going to entirely critique. But there is one thing I noticed, and it's probably the reason why I've seen this video many times during my use of force classes. Many use of force classes I've taken, they've really they've played this video in pretty much every single one, and it's the lack of communication from the officers.
Absolutely.
Aside from that,
Wholeheartedly agree.
yeah, aside from that, I really don't have an issue with what they're doing. Person's obviously resisting, and they're effecting an arrest. Looks like usable, reasonable force.
Yeah.
It's the fact that the only person that seems to be talking during the video, the majority of the video, is the subject.
Yeah.
Sort of saying, "I'm not resisting. What do I do? Why am I under arrest for?" And one thing I was always taught is, and something I've also taught myself to make sure I do is to create positive witnesses, right?
Absolutely.
People are showing up, they don't know what's going on. Even you see in the start of the video, you see we don't know the whole story, obviously, because the video starts with the person already resisting, and the person filming is coming from across the street. So we definitely don't know the story. I'm not going to say whether police officers did anything wrong or right or whatever. I'm just noting I'm just observing the fact that there was not very much communication throughout the arrest up until, telling the person after he's already in cuffs that you're under arrest for domestic assault with an additional charge of resisting arrest.
Yeah.
It's really important, I find. Again, I'm not critiquing the officers in any way, but it is very important to continuously, give the subject directions, not just for people showing up and not knowing what's going on. Toronto police are under arrest for this, or stop resisting, roll over, but also the fact that it is two officers there, right? So you've got your partner as well.
Yeah.
I don't know very many partners that are actually telepathic. I know some partners
Exactly.
that feel like
You
it.
got two people trying to do the same thing,
Yeah.
but doing it differently, and you're not achieving the desired outcome at the end of the day.
Exactly.
You've got one guy trying to grab the shoulder, other guys try to grab the same arm, and it just leads to catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
The guy was pretty squirmy there, and they did a great job. They got him under control and into cuffs in a very short time. But
before anyone checks on me, I've done this exact same thing before, where my partner and I did, where actually it went worse than that, because my partner was trying to do the exact opposite of what I was trying to do. I'm trying to turn the person one way, he's trying to turn the other, and all, it could have helped by, just saying what you want them to do, giving directions. So at least your partner also knows what's going on.
Yep.
It doesn't seem to be really much the case in this video, but, I'm just trying to find some videos that show valuable lessons on, obviously use of force is not the most important thing I find in security, obviously. But it is important when you are in those situations to be well-trained and comfortable using, doing what you need to do.
Yep, absolutely. No, I wholeheartedly agree with that. As somebody who's a use of force instructor myself, something to think about that. And I'm on a little tangent here. I'll try not to make it too long, but being a use of force instructor is much more than just being able to understand and apply the techniques and being able to teach them. You have to have not only those skills, but you have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to teach communication to people. You have to be able to teach the law to people. You have to be able to teach crisis intervention skills to people. A good use of force program includes a day of lawful authorities, a day of theory where we're talking about the use of force continuum and how it applies with communication, and that all comes together, right? And I find in this industry, people are far more interested and apt to talk about use of force rather than what I think is a more important skill, is being a first aider. I can't think of how many times more that I have used my first aid skills compared to use of force situations.
Absolutely.
And but I worked in a hospital where my job was to just be a code white responder at a very major mental health facility, where that's what we did all day long, was go to code whites. So,
Yeah.
So, and you got to think about that with duty of care at the end of the day. Once you've controlled this person and got them into handcuffs, are they hurt? Are they injured? Are you showing your duty of care to that person? Because now you're responsible for them. Do they need medical aid? Do they need a bandage? Do you know what you're doing and how to control bleeding, right?
One thing I noticed in the video, the officer does, I guess, notice that the subject has, I guess, a cut on his face, and he said, we'll get someone to take care.
Absolutely, right? And it comes right back to duty of care. We have a responsibility for that person. They are in their custody, and whatever happens to that person, we are 100% liable for them once we've made that decision to arrest them. So lots to think about.
One thing that's really important in many different scenarios, not just, if they're already hurt, but preventing them. One thing that's really important is, when you're making an arrest and someone's in cuffs, what's the main thing you and I would probably use, Brad, to defend ourselves? Our hands.
Yep.
But, it's kind of difficult, right? Behind your back. I've been in a few arrests where person's in cuffs, and it started with a fight, I guess, maybe against another person and whatnot. And, something led to another where I ended up having to make an arrest. The person that second person comes and now wants to fight the person that's in my custody.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if the person that I've arrested just fought me seconds ago or was, maybe I'm a little pissed off, right? But in the end of the day, his care, he's under my care, right? I've effected an arrest. Yep. It's my responsibility to make sure he doesn't get hurt. Doesn't matter what he's saying.
Absolutely.
Call me rent-a-cop for all I care, but in the end of the day, it's really, really important to anyone that's in your custody. You need to make sure they're okay. You got to make sure I've heard of guards arresting someone and be like, you like that, and calling them names and like person's like, I can't breathe or my face hurts. Like, I don't care. Like, deal with it. No, you deal with it. If you
absolutely
deal with it, because
you got to think too. Here in Ontario, we have the PSISA, and if you're familiar as I am with the PSISA, you probably know about the Code of Conduct, which is one of the many regulations under the Act. I always tell people, sit down and read the Code of Conduct. I actually have it printed out and thrown into the back of my memo book. I've got a few copies of it that I can actually give to guards that I'm working with and remind them like, hey, I just heard you cussing out this person. Take this document and maybe think about it in the end of the day, right? I've seen tons of arrest videos where guards are they're trying to arrest somebody and they F this, F you, put your effing hand behind your back, you a-hole, et cetera, et cetera. So you got to think it's 2021. Everybody's got a camera, right? Putting videos up on YouTube is not that hard. And it seems more and more that as we move forward in time here that, you're guilty before you even get to a courtroom these days with public perception and poor communication. So communication at the end of the day is absolutely key, right? You want to have good, positive public interactions. If you're arresting somebody, it's not a good day for either of you guys, but you want to make sure that at least the public in one way, shape, or form, maybe they don't support what you're doing, but you don't want them to get involved because you're making, poor communicative decisions.
Exactly.
What's going on. So
I mean, the public, when people show up, they're going to listen to sort of the first person that's narrating what's happening. And if it's not you saying, store security or mall security or security, you're under arrest, stop resisting, you're under arrest for theft or under arrest for assault, put your arms behind your back, stop, roll over, onto your, onto your side or whatever, right? If you're not the one giving those directions or saying something, someone else is going to be giving a narration. That's probably gonna be like, oh, that security guard's beating him up. Oh, what are you doing? You don't have to do that. And when you show up, what would you rather someone hear? You giving those clear directions and, when you're doing it, I mean, I understand it's really difficult, but, there's a way to be assertive and very direct, but not sounding like angry.
Yeah.
I've heard of guards like, that just look like they've absolutely lost it and sound like they've lost it. And when you're giving directions like that, it's pretty bad because now it just sounds like you've completely lost control with anger and you're just beating the guy up, right? So, sounding in control and being in control for sure is really important. So, giving those clear, assertive directions while, still controlling the way you talk is very important because then, someone's like, oh, he's beating him up. It's like, okay, well, or they're fighting. It's like, well, no, because he's giving him clear directions to turn around and the guy is not turning around. So I'm going to, maybe draw my own conclusion as opposed to
absolutely
whoever's screaming like, he's beating him up, So at the same time, be careful because I've been in similar situations where I've used my TAC comms as I should have been, and maybe I'm just in a bad neighborhood where they already don't like me, and I've been swarmed during an arrest before, and it's not fun. It's
no, me too. It's not a pleasant experience for sure.
Not at all. So always be careful. Keep looking around. Another good thing about giving those tactical commands is it helps you breathe.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that.
Yeah.
Right. So, TACCOM does three things. As you've rightly mentioned, it helps you breathe. It gives them clear direction and it creates positive witnesses. And, all three of those are equally as important. So you want to think about those things.
Yeah.
And as you rightly mentioned as well, control is really important. I'm sure everyone else in the group who is at least taken a use of force instructor program, they should be able to tell you what the definition, the difference between violence and use of force is, and it really comes down to control.
Yeah.
When you're using force, the force is controlled, the application controlled, and once the situation dictates that there's no more necessity of force, the force is stopped. Right? You're maintaining control. Violence is when you continue to use force unnecessarily. You know, we can apply the same context with communication as well. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
While we're talking about communication, that actually segues us into our next our main topic, which is,
absolutely.
as you guessed it, communication.
Communication. So, you know, lots to talk about when we think communication. We can think about things like nonverbal, verbal, which includes things like your tone, volume, cadence, and the words that you use. What's really important about those three things is they break down on a pie chart very differently. Um, if you were to pull up a pie chart right now and look at communication, how they break down, you're going to see nonverbal is actually the largest piece of the puzzle, or piece of the pie rather, being at roughly 52 to 56%, depending on the study. Your tone, volume, cadence comes in next at about 32, 35%, depending on the study. And lastly, your words, the words that you actually use and pick, come down to about 7 to 10%. So let me ask you, Jonathan, which one of those three do you think is the most important out of all three of them?
Probably nonverbal.
Nonverbal?
In my opinion, just the way you come off. As a matter of fact, I have a nice little prop here that I can definitely you know demonstrate, and I think you know what I'm getting at here.
Oh,
You
yes.
take the reins here and talk about it while I demonstrate.
So nonverbal is very important. In my opinion, I wouldn't say it's the most important. I'd say it's the words, and I'll explain why. There's really no right and wrong with this. Nonverbal is the largest piece of the puzzle because it's the easiest to see. And you know, hypothetically, let's say I'm having a conversation with a subject, and Jonathan is here backing me up. What is the public seeing in what Jonathan's doing right now? They're seeing a guy stand there making fists in a dominant pose. He's got his arms up. He's taking up physical space, which is a dominant tactic. But let's be realistic here. You know, I do something similar when I have my vest on. I like to.
I'm actually really guilty of doing this.
I like to do this. Put my hands on the outside, or sometimes I'll tuck them in and hook my thumbs around. Again, it's a dominant pose, and you know, from a safety standpoint, doing this is not a great idea. You get a lack of reaction. Safety standpoint,
And
not the best thing you can be doing.
absolutely.
But why do we put our hands up here, Jonathan? Why do you put your hands up there?
Honestly, I just find it comfortable.
Exactly, right?
And with this, and same with this, and I'll be honest, this and this, I'm still guilty for at times.
Same here. I am terribly guilty for both of those.
Yeah, I have to remind myself not to.
Yeah,
This I've never done this much. It almost feels like too much for me. Like
I agree with that.
This when I'm doing it.
I know I've been guilty of that in the past. Many years ago, I used to hook my hands up here, and it was just like, here I am wearing all this gear, and I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna hang them somewhere. It's comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and on a really hot day, you can pull the vest away, get the air in there. You know, it's like wearing a bra. I could only imagine, but it's not comfortable to have that thing on, right? Sorry?
I don't know the feeling of wearing a bra, but I can imagine peeling off a vest after a long day.
Absolutely. It feels pretty good, you know, on a hot day when it's like 35 degrees outside with the humidity, and, you know, it feels great to peel that thing off.
Absolutely.
Even better is when you take that undershirt off. But, you know, people don't see that. People don't understand that side of it. People see a guy standing dominantly, making fists,
yeah,
while, you know, we are having an interaction with somebody.
Yeah.
They're
I,
going to look at the totality of the circumstance and look at, what's the subject doing? Does he look like he's backed into a corner? Does he appear to be defensive? And, put yourself in the other shoes there, Jonathan. What would be your general perception seeing that situation play out like that? What would you think?
I think it just looks unnecessarily aggressive. For sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that's typically what people think about, right? So,
Quick
you know,
off-topic thing here. So that feeling of taking off a vest after a long day. I don't know if anyone else feels this, but when you sort of take
oh
off
yes.
for half a sec, it's like a mini version of the bra slash vest
Yep.
feeling when you just sort of.
Oh, it's absolutely great. Little side story. I was teaching first aid this morning. One of the places I teach, they are really big on having to wear a like full-blown 3M N95 mask at this particular location. So, you got that thing on all day. They do a great job keeping you safe, but you got an even better seal on the face. It feels like it feels so good taking that thing off when you get outside. You get the fresh air. Oh, but yeah, I know you're wholeheartedly right. With that being said, so your thoughts are nonverbal being the most important. I like to say words are the most important. In my perspective, I think words will dictate the conversation.
You're right. Actually, I'm gonna pedal back on what I was saying. I thought about it a little bit more, and you explained correctly. You know what? I agree. Words are more important.
Yeah.
I think about interactions I've had, recent, non-recent, even times I've caught myself wearing doing that sort of thing. My best, people come up to me, they ask questions, and I really try to be as professional as possible when I'm talking to people and friendly.
Oh, absolutely.
And I've gotten quite a few compliments of you know, um, you know, you know, you're very professional or all that stuff.
Oh yeah, no, same here.
And I find it's more my words as opposed to I don't really very often, even if I'm standing very, you know, professionally, I guess, and putting off very professional, nonverbal. I don't really get very many. You look professional, or look at you. So uh, I feel like that's a bad way to put it, but you know what I mean.
No, I totally know what you mean. You're totally bang on.
Yeah.
When I teach communication in a classroom setting, one of the things that I like to do to sort of illustrate this point is I'll take a student and I'll bring them just sort of out of the classroom where all the other students can see me have a conversation with this guy, and I'll say some really nasty things to the guy, but I'll be like very positive with my expressions, my facial expression. I'll do the interview stance. I'll smile very friendly. I'll make sure that whoever's watching me, they're looking at a very friendly, very pleasant version of Hansi here. Meanwhile, what I'm saying to the person is, hey, I have a shotgun in my car. Why don't you go grab it, put it under your chin, and squeeze the trigger? I'll say really nasty and mean, just awful, awful things, right? We come back into the classroom and I'll ask the class, what did you think about the conversation? And a lot of the people are like, oh, it seemed like you guys were having a good chit chat. And I'll say to the person I was talking to, how did you feel? And they're like, you told me to kill myself. Right? It makes a point. So the words you pick and choose, and something else to sort of illustrate this point, and I'll target the gentleman in the audience here. Think back to a time where you've told your significant other to quote unquote relax or calm down. How did that conversation go for you? What happened? How many days did you spend in the hospital after that? Thanks to think about.
Traumatized just thinking about it.
Same. My wife's trigger word is relax. I know she's going to be watching this in a few days too, and I'm sure she'll really angrily turn and glare at me when I mention this. So I'm just picturing it now. Maybe I'm bringing that out by talking about it. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm still learning about communication myself. You'll see. But yeah, lots of things to think about with communication.
Tone's very big too. I mean,
oh yeah, right. your tone, your volume, your cadence. I know people that they say all the right things. They know about their body language, and they come off angry. It's like they got angry, resting anger voice. I don't know. I'm sure you've got those interactions.
And yeah, and that's sort of where I personally believe I excel when I'm talking to people. Is I try to have a very natural, when I'm dealing with people, just very natural tone, very natural way of talking to people. I don't try to make it feel like I'm talking to them in like a work setting. Like for instance, you go to McDonald's,
Yeah.
you can tell half the time you go through a drive-through when you're talking to people. Unfortunately, that you can tell that they've said these words. Oh, McDonald's, let me take your order. That's it, means you're okay. Here you go. Haha, thank you. Bye. Right?
Yep.
It's like, yeah, they're saying the right things technically. They're saying it very fast because they've said it a million times, and you could tell it's sort of just like this person has forgotten I exist. Like after I've left the drive-through, I make it very big on when I do talk to people to not make it sound like, oh, yeah, I have to be here and all that.
Another BS interaction, right?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And I find that that's got a lot of it's worked out really well for me.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
And I've worked with guards that have they study verbal communication. They study how to talk to people and what to say to people, but they don't understand the tone, right? So when they talk to people, it's very robotic. When they're talking, they're like they're not even looking at the person; they're looking at their partner for confirmation. So it's
Yep.
it's one of those things like you need to make sure when you're learning about communication, you're learning about all these different aspects, right? It's not just what am I saying, right? Yeah, it's how am I saying it? Am I coming off condescending? Am I coming off sort of you know
Robotic, rude, inappropriate.
I don't think I've had enough coffee today.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. Yeah, I can echo those words. I've worked with a lot of junior guards, even in my other, professions on the law enforcement side. I've worked with a lot of young people, and their idea of professionalism is being able to quote things from the criminal code or various other statutes while interacting with the public.
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh, you're in violation of, section 2 of the TPA. If you don't leave now, I'm going to arrest you under section 9 of the TPA. And you can see the guy that they're talking to. They're like, what's the TPA? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right. Keep it simple. Hey man, you're trespassing. And with that, what are we trying to achieve with communication? What is it that we're trying to do at the end of the day when we're talking to people?
Yeah.
Right. You got to ask yourself that. What in your perspective, what is it we're trying to communicate? Or why is communication so important to you, Jonathan?
Well, I think it's important because it's I find it's just the most effective when you're dealing with situations on gaining compliance, and it's simple, right? You go to a call. There's obviously an end goal to this call, whether it's fighting, whether it's people not refusing to leave or something. In the end of the day, you're being. I realize I'm saying "in the end of the day" a lot. I've noticed that in a few episodes, but it's very important to know why you're going there, what you need to do, right? And with that goal, usually it's not going to be achieved if the person doesn't know what you're trying to accomplish as well, right? So, I need you to leave, right? You're banned, you're trespassing. So you're explaining to them, you don't have to go all technical. If for some reason there have been times where I've tried to explain it in a few different ways, and they'll throw out that little bit of legal jargon or whatever, under the Trespass Property Act, because they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you can't arrest me for trespass." Obviously, I'm talking about Ontario. If anyone not from Ontario is watching this, but then I'll be like, actually, under this, you can't. I can't.
Yep.
Right? So that's really the only time I'll use it. But aside from that, I don't think people entirely want to just be totally defiant when they're dealing with you. Obviously, they must be in some sort of crisis in some way, right? And they also want a resolution. And It's really important, not just in terms of communicating and telling them what you want, but to listen on what they want as well, right?
Absolutely.
I have I'll save it for story.
All right. No, it's good. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, communication, it's a two-way street, right? It's not just about conveying to people what it is that you're trying to achieve. It's about listening to whatever the problem is. And I'm sure you guys have heard me say 1,000 times already. The job comes down to helping people and solving problems. It's about customer service and fixing somebody's day sometimes. And you got to think about listening to whatever the problem is. And there's a lot of ways, to show that you're using your active listening skills. You can repeat back things that they've said to you to, give them that confirmation of understanding, and not only show them that you were listening, but that you understand what it is that they've said to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that really does help. I know some people you're not listening, and you're sort of, it almost feels helps them feel that there's someone kind of on their side, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want this, and then you've got some guards that'll just repeat the same directions that they're given, right?
With that too, what's the definition of insanity? Is it not repeating the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result?
I guess. I mean, in that case,
if you're that guard and you're saying the same thing over and over and it's not working, try something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Try something else. You never know. So.
Yeah, it's like me wanting to win the lottery someday, but I don't play the lottery. That's the issue.
No, same here. I'm not a fan of the lottery, but one of these days I'll win the game I don't play.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I feel. I have no desire to play the lottery, but I sure hope I win it someday.
Same here. Same here.
Yeah.
Right. Lots to think about here with communication, guys. So something to think about here. I always tell people there's really 3 reasons why you'll talk to somebody in this industry. The first one I say covers probably 80% of your interactions. Customer service. It might be telling somebody where the bathroom is, where the exits are, just reminding them that, hey, the building's closing in 5 minutes, stuff like that. The rest of your reasons are either to get somebody to stop what they're doing or to have them leave the property, in which case you've got them to stop what they're doing. Right. I would say in 100% of those instances, we're just trying to gain compliance, some form of compliance from somebody. Right. I know a lot of guys in this industry with these crazy arrest records, like, oh, I've arrested 300 people, and they're really proud of that. Let me give you a perspective as a law enforcement professional. When I hear stuff like that, I hear that, hey, you're really arrest happy and you have no communication skills and have no idea how to talk somebody out of leaving the property, or into leaving the property, rather, into stopping the continuance of the offense. I haven't arrested that many people as a security professional, and I'm pretty proud of that. And that's because, again, I like to rely on de-escalation and using the talkie talk, as I like to call it. So.
Yeah, and I wish I could say the same for myself. To be fair, I spent about half of my time in the security industry as loss prevention, where our job.
A little different. No, I totally get that. Very different. I haven't done loss prevention. Most of my experience has been working in community type settings, colleges, universities, stuff like that, and some municipalities. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a time, obviously, when I first started security that I was arrest happy. I was sort of everything that we're trying to teach not to be.
Yeah.
And
we've all been there, myself included.
Yeah. So, I did have quite a few arrests during that time. I thought they were very fun at the time. And as I matured and sort of, started working on how I am as a security professional, I like to think I went from a security guard to a security professional. It's a big difference.
Huge difference. Absolutely agree with that.
Then my arrest numbers have gone way down. I know people that I knew back when I was arrest happy. They're like, "Oh, you barely arrest anymore." I'm like, "Yeah, that's actually a good thing." I'm sure they'll see my ways someday.
It takes experience to learn that. I was the same way when I was a young guy. I was arrest happy. I was always excited to throw down and slap cuffs on somebody. And I remember I got to a point where I just got tired of it. And it just like, you know what? Like I at a point, like I actually felt bad for some of the people I was interacting with and having to arrest. And I was starting to realize like there's another way.
Yeah,
Did I have to arrest them? I could have removed them. I could have done this and that, and I could have used other resources to help them.
exactly. And I've arrested some people too that I genuinely feel bad about because whether it's something like trespassing or something that just was so minor that, and remembering the actual how the call went, I know I could have had another way out from there. And
Yeah. That's a thing for me with trespass arrests because again, I've worked both sides of those perspectives, from the policing side to the security side. I've been to those calls where store security has arrested somebody for trespassing, and think about this: you've arrested somebody, you've revoked their freedom to leave, they're legally not allowed to go anywhere. You've potentially put them in handcuffs, and they're restrained into a little room, and the police show up and they write them a $65 PON and send them on their way.
yeah,
Was it worth the arrest?
exactly. Yeah, there've been
No.
in recent years, there's only been a few times I've made arrests under the TPA, and it wasn't simply because they were refusing to leave. I'd rather
Oh,
sort of
absolutely.
there's
There's
the police arrive.
Yeah, there's a reason that the law's there. I'm not at all trying to discredit it or say that, you shouldn't arrest people for trespassing, but I know people they're looking for those instances where it's, oh, I've got an opportunity to arrest the guy. Damn, let's do this.
Yeah,
When, did you have to? Did you really have to? I'll say this, and as bad as this is about to sound, the people that you're going to end up having to arrest for trespassing likely can't afford that ticket.
yeah,
That's been my experience. So
yeah. I agree. It's in the end of the day, it's said it again. At the end of the day, yeah, you're trying to get them to leave, right?
yeah,
It's not whether you can arrest for it; it's whether do you have to.
yeah,
There's I've spent a decent amount of time with people just saying, like, look, I can't arrest you right now. I really don't want to. Like, is this really worth your time? Like, why do you want to be in here in the first place, right? If they're refusing to leave, and um, even recently, I had a person that refused to leave, tried to move further into the property. I blocked their path from getting further within the property, and I just called police. We were standing there for like a good almost 20 minutes, really awkwardly, by the way. I mean, you only have so many things to say to someone
yep,
until you're just sort of standing there and just like, all right, are police showing up now? And every now and then I'd be like, are you sure you don't want to leave? This is absolutely silly, right? And they're adamant they didn't want to leave. Police arrived. They ended up leaving. It didn't even have to
yep.
be on police's part. They just sort of repeated what I said, but they're police officers, so sometimes people just need that little extra.
A little bit of a push, yeah.
Yeah, and he ended up leaving, and it is what it is, and just because I had to have the police come and sort of tell him to leave, it doesn't take anything away from my ego, right? It's, for one, if you made an arrest, you're going to have much more of a report to write. Probably going to have to use force or use cuffs, so use of force report, all that stuff, and it's. I want you to leave. Okay, well, I'm not leaving. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to take away your right to leave. Now you have to stay with me. It's like, it makes sense, surprisingly, in some scenarios, but for the most part, I try not to.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I do have I got a couple of really, I'll keep them very, very brief, but I worked with a guy one time. His tactic to get people to leave who really didn't want to leave was to pull out his phone, open up Spotify, and he would very loudly play like classical music, like opera music, and he would just blast it to the point where the people that he was trying to get to leave were so annoyed that they would just go. Works was an interesting tactic. I worked with another bunch of people. They had this little teamwork thing going on. It was really cool. They were the what's the word I'm looking for here? They were the least confrontational type of guard that you could imagine. But they were able to get the point across without using any kind of force. It was just the first guard would show up and they would tell the guy, hey, you're trespassing, blah, blah, blah. They would bring up section 2 in sort of a professional, but a manner that anyone would understand.
Yeah.
And, the person would usually, no, F you, I'm not going to listen to you. So they call for another guard, and another guard shows up and, oh, did you tell him about section 2? Yeah, I told him about section 2. Oh, maybe you need to tell him about this. And they were really passive aggressive about getting people to leave. And it worked almost like 100% of the time. They never had to touch anybody, never had to go hands on. And it rarely led to any type of incident report outside of just the general trespass issue. So, yeah, a little different, but it worked. It was very effective.
Okay.
So
it reminds me of back when I was doing loss prevention at one specific place where I worked with a partner. LPs try to, from what I understand, tend to be quieter. Hopefully you don't notice us. Act like shoppers.
Yeah.
I was at a store right next to a university residential area for the university. And my partner happened to look like a university student. Actually, he was a university student.
Okay.
I looked a little younger. I'm sure I could still pass off as a university student. And I don't think the staff in the store had an issue with it. We never got any complaints, but be around across the store and we'd be like, yo, bro, you got the stuff? Oh, sick. Yeah, it's gonna be a good night tonight, man. And just like no one thought we were LPs, right?
Yeah.
And we probably got a few looks, and I only did that a few times just because it was fun. But I've waited in line just behind the person that I was about to arrest. They've already concealed all these items and holding a bunch of product from the store, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna have a good night," and we're like, "Yeah, bro, it's gonna be sick, and drink up, right?" And he goes through the cash, and right when he exits the store, to his surprise, store security under arrest for theft. What? Yeah.
I love the trickery. So effective.
That's I love doing uniform security where you're dealing with different situations, but it's almost like my little fun when I do loss prevention, and it's you are protecting a store's assets, and you do have to keep in mind that in the end of the day, it's just product, right? There's no use getting hurt over it, but it's almost like a little cat and mouse game, right? Someone's stealing, and depending on what it was, there were certain things I was a little more lenient on, but for the most part, if they're stealing certain things that it's resold or something like that, I like the part where you can be looking right at me and you don't have a clue that my job is actually to watch you, and that I already know you concealed this and this in your pants or whatnot, and you don't have a clue. You don't even know I'm security, and I just look like I'm shopping, and that surprise factor where they've left the store and they're like, yeah, I got it, and I pop up and like, surprise. I don't say surprise. I identify myself accordingly, obviously, but
it's like that. What's that show, Dexter, where the that black detective was always like, surprise, insert cursor here. Yeah. Yeah. No, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is, and sometimes I miss it still. Also, the fact that you wear your own clothes.
Oh, that's always handy.
Yeah. I do really miss that part. It's like, oh, what are you wearing? Oh, I wear these 511 tack boots. What do you wear? Adidas. I enjoy that, right? So
nice. I do know a lot of security guards who wear those with uniforms that probably shouldn't be.
Oh, yeah. sorry to be. I want to make it clear. I wear them with American Eagle jeans usually, and t-shirts, and
Super jealous.
how I'm just dressed right now. Really,
Super jealous.
yeah. Try it out. It's a lot of fun. Although I don't think a lot of stores are doing apprehensions right now because of the Rona. So
True. So, lots of things to think about. When we think about communication too, want to think of that interpersonal communication, like radios, telephones.
Yeah.
Right. Lots of perspectives. I'm sure we've all had an instance where somebody did something silly on the radio or misused the radio one way or another.
Yep. Yeah. I know a few. There's ways that, like, I understand some people may not notice how they're using the radio in a less than ideal way, and then there's others that sort of know it. Right. I've worked with a guy that over the radio who would just be like, meow, just meow.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I've done that one before.
I don't hate it. It's short. But at the same time, you got to understand the type of team that you're in.
Yeah.
And I've heard of other ones that are just swearing up a storm. Like, look at this effing thing here. And so, that's where you're like, okay, listen, like, maybe you've got your piece in, but maybe some of your partners are in a common area.
Absolutely.
And a family's walking by and hears something like that. It's a bad look. Or even, like, it's not so much a professional thing, I would find, but people that just tell an entire novel over the radio,
Yeah.
S12, the comm center, just left this store, issued a trespass for this. Person's leaving out through this area. I'm going to be 10-8 at this time. I'm going to be heading up to the food court and purging until 1500 hours. Like, okay, thank you.
No need for any of that.
Yeah.
No need for any of that. Something else to think about too. I know a lot of sites, a lot of bigger sites like malls and colleges, those types of environments. Not only are security guards going to have radios, so is property management.
Mm-hmm.
And I've worked at a number of sites where, and typically, as I'm sure Jonathan would agree with, most of these sites have a setup where you've got, security on one channel, housekeeping on another channel, and then like your maintenance and operations people on a separate channel as well.
Am I ever happy about that? I remember one of the malls I worked at, we had our security channel, and we had a little base station. When you're at the dispatch, you would sort of rotate out, do your little bit of time at dispatch. A lot of fun, actually. Once in a while, you just click on a different maintenance or cleaners, and all you hear is, Joanne, you got the Lysol? Oh, yeah, I'm bringing the thing. And you just click back, you're like, oh, my God.
Yep. No, absolutely. I worked at a site where, worked at a few sites like this where all the cleaners were Spanish.
Oh.
So it was like flipping over to like TLN, and they like speak Spanish on the radio.
Yeah.
It's like, I have no idea what they're saying. But yeah, you want to consider, does property management have radios? Do they listen to the radio? Yeah. I got a couple of, I'll try to keep them really short. I know of a mall in Markham where security had a very specific code for when they found a couple of people hanging out in the parking garage or in their the back of their car where the windows were getting a little steamy.
We had 10.3. That was ours.
Sorry, what was the code?
Ours, where I was 1023.
That's a pretty good code. This particular mall used 1069.
I wonder why.
Right? So I'm not gonna say who I was working for or what I was doing, but I was at the property doing a training audit, and I remember hanging out with the property manager, and we were inside the comms area with the dispatcher, and this guy comes on the radio, and he giggled when he said it. He's like, "Yeah, I got a 1069 here in the northwest corner of the parking lot." The dispatcher giggles, at 10-4. You got to think, where do most of these, or a lot of these property managers start their careers? A lot of them start work in security. So a lot of them, they're familiar with 10 codes. This particular manager had worked in the building as security, and he said to the dispatcher, "Hey, what's a 1069? I've never heard of that one." And the dispatcher said, haha, they're effing, using the actual expletive. A little part of me died on the inside when I heard that. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So unfortunately a memo went out telling the guards, hey, you can't use that one anymore. So you got to think about what you're saying on the radio. Now, just as well as I do, John, a lot of guards, they're crafty, they're resilient, if you will.
Yes.
They came up with a new 10 code, 1096. Oh, only in this industry. Only in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it was just beautiful. So yeah. I got another story. I'll keep this one brief. This is the one I told you the other night.
Okay.
So many years ago, I was working as a director of security at this very large property downtown Toronto. I was up in the property management office, having a chit chat with some operations guys, and everybody up there, they've got their own two-way radio on their desk. And again, if you were to think, what channel are all these guys listening to? They're thinking security, and that's because we're out roving the property. We're calling things in regularly. This was one of those sites where if you flip over to housekeeping, you got to speak Spanish to understand what they're talking about, which I thought was pretty cool. I got to know some of the housekeepers, and they would tell me that, yeah, they speak very inappropriately on the radio, which I thought that's awesome. Super jealous. So, and the operations guys, building maintenance people, they're mostly down in the office watching soccer. So, if you're going to want to know what's going on in the building, you're going to listen to security. So I'm up there and I can hear the radio on everybody's desks going off. At some point, the dispatcher, he's calling for call sign AO2. No answer. A couple minutes goes by. They call it again. AO2, is AO2 on the air? No answer. A few minutes more goes by. They call for a supervisor and a couple of other guards. And they're going to start looking for this guy because we're concerned. Did something happen to them? Is the radio broken? Are they okay? What's going on? No answer from anybody, right? So these other guards, they pop on. Yeah, we'll start looking. A few more minutes goes by. We haven't found the guy. So I think we're about 20 minutes in here now. Some of the people in the property management office are like, hey man, is everything okay with your guard? Like, that's a little weird that somebody's not answering the radio. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know. The supervisor's taking care of it. It's, it is what it is. If they need me, they'll call me. And left it at that. Oh, 5 more minutes goes by. AO2 comes on the air. Yeah, AO2 here. Sorry, I'm in the shitter. And it just boomed all the way across the office. Everybody up there heard it. Property director had a little chit chat with me. They were not very happy about that because at this very particular property, we had a lot of very, very predominant clients like Google. Their Toronto office is in this complex. Justice Department of Canada, EY, Ernst & Young, although they're EY. What the heck is it? Oxford Properties, their head offices, their international head offices there. OMERS, the pension fund, their head offices there. In each one of the lobbies that we have a concierge guard. They don't have a portable radio that you would carry around with you. They have a base station. And to make sure that they can hear the base station, they crank that thing all the way up. So in every single one of these lobbies, you're walking through and you hear, yeah, I'm in the shitter. And it just echoed across the lobbies. So as John pointed out a few minutes ago, right, you never know who might be listening to the radio. So you want to think, professionalism. Yeah, it's fun to get on there and meow and tell jokes. I think I killed John with laughter. Right? Oh, bro. It apparently it echoed really well in one of the lobbies. And unfortunately it did lead to a couple of complaints. Some of the tenants in there were really, really big on security. And to hear that come out in the lobby the way it did, a lot of people were not happy. So, think public perception, guys. It's all about communications. Yeah.
That's despite my laughing there, that was really good moral of the story.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I remember I was working once in place, and we had everyone's got different codes for when they're, I gotta take a code brown, or for me, I was it was where I was at, it was 10-7 whiskey as more.
Okay.
And
I like that. That's actually a good one.
yeah, and I was working with someone where they didn't know that one. They knew 10-7. I was like, I'm 10-7 whiskey, and they're like, I know, but what's your 20? And I'm like, I'm 10-7 whiskey. And it was just like, okay,
I know, but what's your 20?
I'm in the washer. I just said it in English. And then he's like, oh, but you've been gone forever on the radio. And I'm like, yep. And I'm just like, yeah, 10-4, I'll be there in a minute.
Oh, that's
But
brutal.
it was really awkward. I guess I wasn't feeling too well that day, but I was hoping no one would notice. But everyone who had a radio knew.
Everybody who had a radio knew.
Walk back out and they're like, feeling better, John? I'm like, yep.
Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, when we talk about tools, communication tools, I'm nefarious when it comes to telephones. I love to mess with people if I can get away with it. A lot of people like to ask me, why Hans Gruber? So many years ago, I worked at a large college in Toronto, and one day, out of sheer boredom, I was sitting in the office, and I was working there as a shift supervisor. The telephone rings. So I answer it. Ja, guten Tagen, Campus Securities. This is Hansi. How may I direct your call? And the guy was like, oh, hi, Hans. I'm looking for so-and-so. Yeah, no problem. Hold on. And I transferred them. And everybody in the office thought it was pretty funny. So then it became this sort of almost like a meme. Once in a while, almost every shift at one point, I would talk to somebody on the phone or through one of the intercoms at a different campus as Hans. It would get to a point where on the weekend and at night and on the evenings and stuff, I would have to go visit the other campuses and to check on the guards, right? And some of these guys would be like, hey, that Hans guy, he's a really nice guy. You should bring him by sometime. They had no idea it was me. And I was like, yeah, man, Hans is a great guy. I'll see if I can bring him by. He's a little shy, though. I wonder if they ever realized that when I left, Hansi also left.
That's where you needed to show up with that. What's that German thing that they wear with the overalls and the?
Oh, the Lederhosen.
Yes.
Yes.
Where you should have showed up and just be like, you do your impression.
But yeah, that's where Hans came from. One day Hansi needed the last name, and Gruber came out. But yeah, I was really bad for messing with people on the phone. And one time I dug that hole a little too deep. I was working at a mental health facility, and I was sitting down in our control room, and it's very much like a jail control room where you operate the doors, the sally ports, and you watch a lot of cameras. It was a really cool gig. I really enjoyed working in the control room. We would split the shift up, half patrol, half working in the control room, 12-hour day. You get a little bit of both. So I'm sitting in the control room, beginning of the shift. I think it was halfway through, actually. And I was expecting my partner to call me because we were going to order pizza that night. And the phone rings, and I look down at the call display, and I see security. So I know it's the main building security office calling. So I picked up. And I remember, I think I said, yeah, pizza, how can I take your order? And on the other line, I hear, click. And I thought, that's weird, right? Like, okay, whatever. A few minutes goes by, the phone rings again. So I pick it up. Yeah, Brad's Roadkill Barbecue. You kill him, we grill him. And I hear the same, click. A few more minutes goes by, the phone rings again. So I'm like, okay, I'll just pick up the phone as I'm supposed to. Forensic security program, Brad speaking. And I hear this really shrill voice on the other end. It's like, Bradley, is that how we answer the phone? She was like really, really upset that I was answering the phone in such a fashion. So You want to think, you never know who might be on the other line.
Yeah.
I unfortunately didn't learn my lesson that night, because 2 weeks later when I was on day shift, my supervisor called me while I was down in the control room. I see the same thing pop up at security. So I'm like, oh, it's got to be Scotty. So I pick up as Hans. Yeah, security, how may I help you? And I hear in the background, my boss's boss and his boss. Who the fuck is Hansi? And I hear Scott go, Brad, so and so is here. Ja, guten Tag. Yeah, it didn't go over as well as I thought it would. They did see the humor in it, but I got a spoken to, if you catch my drift. So,
and
communication, as we're trying to highlight here, while it's fun to tell these stories, it's important. You got to be professional. When you're picking up the phone and you're interacting with the public, you're representing not only your employer, whatever, like ABC Security, but you're also representing whoever the property manager is that hired that company to be there, whether it's a hospital, a mall, a college, an apartment complex, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. You're representing two entities, so represent them with both pride and integrity.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the important thing. We're talking about professionalism and communication as well, and it's important to know that both Brad and I have definitely not been always professional at times. We've all made mistakes, no matter how funny the mistakes are. The reason why his name's Hans on Facebook. But yeah, it's important to know that we're not all perfect, and these stories we tell, they're and when we're what we're trying to express to you is is we're coming from a place that where we've made these mistakes before, right? And these not are all, I would say, mistakes, but slight errors, and
yeah,
and we've learned from them, and we're trying to teach all of you vicariously through us. So maybe you can be like, maybe I won't answer the phone, guten Tag, and because Brad / Hans, whoever it is, did it.
I don't even know anymore. Yeah. I don't even know anymore. I'm at a point where some of my very close friends and even some of my family just call me Hans or Hansi now. It's a struggle of duality.
I've been called worse, so it's not totally bad.
True.
Yeah. So I mean, we're trying to teach you sort of, at least for me, experience and sort of doing the right thing, doing the wrong thing, doing both of them and learning from them, have been my biggest educator, right?
Absolutely.
I do a lot of courses now, but I'm pretty sure the earliest real professional development course I did was maybe 2019, late 2018. That's when I really started to hunker down and try to learn all these different things. And I looked around online, and I was looking for different resources to learn from, on YouTube, and there are some good resources, but a lot of them are American, right? And,
yep.
And they don't apply to us. And that's sort of that's why we've created this show, is because we know there's people up here in the Great White North that want to become better security guards, eh? So
you betcha.
So we're trying to be the Bob and Doug McKenzie of security.
Welcome to the Great White North, eh?
Oh man!
No, absolutely.
I love their 12 Days of Christmas.
Oh, it's great. That's great. I'm a huge Bob and Doug McKenzie fan. I remember when their movie Strange Brew came out.
Oh yeah.
I'm showing my age. Back
in my day. Whatever, Brad.
So
security.
Back in my day, you didn't need a license to work certain types of security. I'll say that. Yeah,
I've always had to have a license.
Yeah. In-house security didn't need a license. I know there was a few other exceptions, but I really wish I still had my old ass security license, because when they transitioned over, they didn't take them back.
Okay.
Yeah, it was basically a really crappy pink piece of paper that was very poorly laminated, and my photo was taped onto the pink piece of paper.
I mean,
Looked like some kid made it in gym class.
the important question is, does the photo fade over time or does it stay as it is?
Oh, it faded very badly.
Okay, so sort of like our current licenses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Slight upgrade in the fact that it's plastic and sort of professionally printed.
sort of.
Sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things. Like I'm always I always advocate being lighthearted when you can and sort of lightening the mood. My coworkers know I joke around when it's appropriate and when the public doesn't see it. And I think it's healthy, honestly, for to sort of keep up that team morale. I'm very big on that. I am serious when I need to be, but when I don't need to be, I'm a very you know chill sort of kind of
Yeah.
person, right? So I think it really helps with the team, and at the same time, like communication is really important. I'm going way off topic here. Communication is definitely really important. Obviously, as when you're dealing with situations, trying to um, you know, get someone to do what you need them to do and to comply, to even just talking to the general public when it comes to customer service. Where's the bathroom? Where's the this store? Where's that? Right? I've had people ask me even when I'm working, like, hey, do you know where this store is down the road, way off property? I'm like, well, I happen to know the downtown core well enough to be like, yeah, actually, it's this way. Take a left or right. So I'll at least do what I can, and you know, it's very important to not just again with tone. Tone is probably where it's really I'm really focusing on talking about tone right now, but it's it's important to, regardless of how you feel about the job, really try to portray a positive attitude.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you don't entirely want to be there, but at the same time, it's a job. It could be worse, right? One thing I do find that we're very fortunate, most of us in this industry, is because how things are going on in the world. A lot of people are being laid off. I actually took 4 months out of the security industry a little bit last year, while still working sort of casual, but at least from full time security work into a completely different industry. And around a little after Christmas, we were pretty much about to get laid off because of everything going on, and I was so stressed about that, and I think that's what sort of drove me to come back full time in the security industry. And that's one thing that we really are very fortunate with, regardless of what happens in the world. They're going to need people to secure their assets, and
Absolutely.
that come into the businesses that are still open. So it's try to remember that when you're dealing with people. It's a very scary time right now, and to be positive and to be sort of assuring will really go a long way with a lot of people. You know we don't know how this is going to end up. I hope it
No.
goes well, um, but just not everyone can sort of keep their head up. So if you can sort of you know through any interaction you have with people, sort of help them,
Oh, absolutely.
and bring them up in some way, that really helps. That would be really great.
Yeah.
As you
And
can see,
you bring up something important there, just being positive.
yeah,
You never know who you're interacting with and what their day's been like. You might be that person that changes their day by just being a friendly, positive, happy, smiling person,
yeah,
right? I know, like I'm somebody, I suffer from depression, PTSD, and anxiety. And I know I've had interactions with people where they're in a great mood and it changes my day a little bit. It makes me feel a little bit better that I'm interacting with somebody who's doing good. So
yeah,
you never know whose day you might have changed just simply by being a friendly, smiling, pleasant face.
exactly. There's someone that I know. who does security, and he interacts with a child at his site that has autism, and
Okay.
I guess he has some behavioral problems along with that, and the kid was sort of afraid of the guard for a little while ago, and for a little bit, but he kept talking to him, and really sort of being a friend, sort of a figure that he looked up to, and now they when he'll come into the property, when it's safe, they'll even go from one point to the other. They'll race, and it really brightens up his day. And from what I understand, the mothers said like he's been doing better in school because of
Oh,
just
that's awesome.
he'd come into the property and he would talk to this guard, tell him how his day went, and if he did something that wasn't good, the guard would be like, it's, not like nagging at him, but you shouldn't do that. You're better than that, man. And I know this guard really well. Like, he's a good friend of mine, and I really respect him for that. I think I think he deserves a lot more recognition than he's received, and he has received some recognition. So like he honestly this guy's absolutely amazing. He's a trainer as well, so
Oh, awesome.
and yeah, he's a really good guy. And honestly, if you're watching, dude, whatever you get in terms of recognition, you 100% deserve it. And
Sounds like it.
yeah, absolutely. And it may be a small interaction, within a day, but like it goes a long way. It really goes a long way. And that's a big thing about communication, how you are with people, right?
Yep.
You don't know what kind of effect you're going to have on someone, right? So, and
No, absolutely.
yeah, and I know it's difficult. Sometimes I'm at work, and maybe I'm just having an off day. Maybe I'm tired. I don't feel like talking to people, right? And someone comes to talk to me, and don't just brush people off. I know it sounds hard, especially when you're in that situation. You're like, I really don't have the energy to talk to you, but just try to take that minute. I know some people like to talk for a little bit longer than a minute.
We've all been there.
Yeah,
We've all been there.
You don't know how much your attention to them might mean. I've worked at a shelter here in Ottawa, right? I take the time to talk to some of the clients. A lot of them are addicts or homeless, right? Suffer from addiction. They're homeless, and how often do you think homeless people maybe get a chance to talk to people that maybe aren't homeless, right? See things from a different.
Not every day.
Yeah. So I've had one guy who was talking about the weather was getting nicer along the Ottawa River, and he was talking about how he sees the ducks, he sees everyone running around and stuff, and like honestly, maybe it helps because he to see things in that sort of perspective, because I'm a little too focused into my phone or whatnot like that, but I maybe the fact that he may have a little less in terms of material things that he's noticing and appreciating these sort of things. And I thought it was kind of really nice to see. Sometimes I drive by that area that he was talking about, and it's like I'm not paying attention. I'm on my driving my car, and
Yep.
traffic, right? So it's kind of nice to sort of stop and appreciate the little things. And it was nice to talk with him about that, and especially people in that that sort of people that are homeless. It might be a scary world, a lot of negative things too, but to see that he was able to see a positive thing and talk to someone about that, and we had a good conversation. Yeah, I think that really probably helped, brighten his day. At least I hope so.
Oh, absolutely. No, it sounds like a good conversation, right? Yeah. I got one last thing to say about communication, unless you want to keep going on.
Nope, I'm gonna go on until the cows come home. Or is that
Awesome.
cows go home? Cows.
I'm
gonna go for a while.
no, I'm down for that. But yeah, I wanted to bring up perception as well. I know I sort of touched on it. Something to think about when you're interacting with people from abroad. You might be interacting with somebody who, where they come from. The police and security services in those places are not really on the up and up. Now, I know things here in Canada and even the United States, they're not perfect, but I think if you were to say, would you trust the police here in this country? I think most people would say, yeah, I have a general level of trust for the police.
Yeah.
When you think about how things could be when you go and compare the police in other countries where there's a level of corruption, a level of that they don't care, where policing isn't really a reputable career. A lot of things to think about. You might be interacting with somebody who's brand new to the country. They've only been here a couple of days. And you're saying to them, hey, come here. I want to talk to you. What do you think's going on in the back of their head? You need to be really clear with people why it is that you want to talk to them and the reason for talking to them. It's good to introduce yourself as, hey, I'm here for building security, blah, blah, blah. And I'll get into what you can say here in a moment. But if in the back of their head, they can turn around and say, hey, I didn't feel like I had a right to leave. What have you inadvertently done to them? What is that, Jonathan? If you don't feel like you have a right to leave, what have you done to them?
You're detaining them.
Yeah, it's an illegal arrest. You haven't told them they're under arrest and you violated their charter rights, right? So you want to think about that. I like to teach people what's called the charter approach. It's good for sometimes stopping whatever it is some people are doing. Introduce yourself as building security and say, hi, I'm here to talk to you because you're doing XYZ, or you're involved with XYZ and XYZ is happening, whatever it is. Explain the reason for your interaction. Tell them, hey, you don't have to talk to me if you don't want to. And hey, if you want to leave, you can. You're not under arrest. Let them know. But ask them, hey, can you help me out and talk to me about insert topic here, whatever that topic is. Let people know what their rights are. I know guards who've been burned by that, by somebody who knew their rights and they made poor choices with their words. So, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that tidbit out too. I'm a little interested in the legal side of things. I can go on and on when it comes to talking about the law. So,
coming up, everyone, we'll have our 10-hour podcast where we talk about absolutely everything that's on our mind.
Absolutely everything on my mind.
One.
That's going to be a deep, deep, dark rabbit hole. I don't know if our viewers are going to be prepared for that, John.
I'm not prepared for that.
Neither am I. It's a big, dark hole.
Yeah.
I better bring a flashlight. Good thing I have plenty of those.
All of mine are out of reach.
Insert flashlight meme here. I feel like that joke went way over your head.
Nope, I was just visualizing the flashlight meme. I'm going to put it.
Oh, perfect. Like right on the screen.
Yep.
Love it. That's awesome. I'm very excited to see the final cut.
No problem, flashlight.
Yes. There it is. There it is.
All right. So let's get into story time.
Story time.
Simply because I've already forgotten the story that I was going to mention.
I
know.
Oh no.
I'll try to remember it as your time.
All right. I got a story. I always got a story though. Let me tell you guys a little story. Now, full transparency, I at no point had anything to do with the story. This story was a teaching tool that I like to use. I teach some aspects of the law pertaining to things like Landlord Tenant Act and Residential Tenancies Act, stuff like that. So let me break down the story. I'm not going to use names. I'm not going to use real names. I'm going to throw in a couple of fake names, but you can take with that what you will. And obviously, I'm not going to name any companies. But we'll call this guy Dave. Dave is a extra coverage security guard with what I will call ABC Security. Being an extra coverage, I'm sure as you guys know, they get the pleasure of the odd phone calls at the weirdest times of day and being asked to come in at all kinds of random points with usually no notice. But, it is an entry-level position and sometimes you have to start somewhere, right? So Dave-O he gets called and he's asked to come into a condo building in Toronto, and his job is to escort a plumber around the building. The building has notified the tenants that they need to come in and do some work, and away they go. So the guy, he shows up to the building. He meets the security supervisor. He meets the property manager, and he's given the set of master keys, the keys to the whole complex.
Ooh,
Sorry?
Ooh, the power.
The power of the master keys. So yeah, he's going about his morning. At some point he gets up to unit 211. Now I'm not sure what the actual unit this took place in, but we're going to say it was in 211 just cuz. And they knock on the door to give the person inside the time to come and open the door. And the door opens, and there's a lady on the inside wearing some very, very tight and provocative lingerie, and very, very revealing. You gentlemen would probably say she looks rather fine, I think is the word you young guys like to use.
Yeah, up in the crib, we call them fine.
A.
Wow. Oh yeah, I'm what am I hip and Canadian?
Yes. Where do you get those sideways hats? Like, I know where you get those hats that have like the front thing. Where do you get the sideways ones? I've never seen those at the store before.
You have to be part of an exclusive.
I guess I'm not exclusive enough. That's a shame. So anyways, yeah, Dave gets up to 211, and Jane opens the door, and she is looking rather fine, if you will. She's got her hair all did. She's wearing lingerie. She's got her war paint on. I'm sure you ladies will refer to that as makeup. And she's got some interesting high-heeled shoes on. So she invites them on. Come on in, boys. And in they go. The person inside, Jane, seems really interested in Dave, and she's trying to talk Dave up. And she says, "Hey, Dave, would you like some orange juice?" And Dave is like, "I would love some orange juice." So she gets some Tropicana and pours a real tall glass of orange juice. It was very tasty, very, very wet and moist and refreshing, and just so delicious. Very just intensely refreshing on the mouth area there.
Oh, God.
So anyway, they're having chit chat, and the plumber's cleaning out the pipes, and he's doing his thing. And when the plumber is finishing what he's doing, off they go. Now, just as Dave is about to leave, Jane says to Dave, "Hey, if you enjoyed that orange juice, why don't you come back at lunch and have some more orange juice?" So Dave goes about the rest of his morning. 12 o'clock rolls around, and Dave is parched. He's quite thirsty, if you will, very thirsty for orange juice. So he goes back to unit 211. He knocks on the door. Jane opens up the door, and she invites him in. "Come on in, Dave." And there's the Tropicana sitting right there on the counter. Big old tall glass. And Dave pours himself another glass of orange juice. Very refreshing. Anyway, they're hanging out in the apartment. Jane makes herself very, very comfortable on the couch. She's got her phone. She's doing her thing, and they're drinking orange juice. 1 o'clock comes around, and it's time for Dave to go back to work. So Dave thanks her for the Tropicana, and off he goes. So he's getting to the elevator car, and he's thinking, "Man, that was the best orange juice I've ever had. That was so refreshing, so tasty, so delicious." Gets down to the main floor. The elevator car opens up, and there's the property manager and security supervisor there waiting for him. Da, da, da.
Your orange juice.
Right? Now you might be thinking, why are they waiting for him? Well, interestingly enough, Jane made a complaint about Dave. while she was making herself comfortable on the couch, think about what most of you do when you get comfortable on the couch. What do you probably have in your hand? A phone. She took photos of him pouring the orange juice into the glass. And she told property management that as she came out of her bedroom, that she witnessed the guard in her apartment, condo rather, pouring orange juice into a glass, helping himself. Because remember, he has the master keys. So Davo, he was sent home. His contract company was notified, and he was very promptly let go. You might ask yourself, why would anybody in their right mind do this? Any guesses, Jonathan?
Like what the tenant would do?
Yeah, why would they do that?
Honestly, just a horrible person. That's what I'm thinking.
I would say so. Let me ask you, what's orange juice?
Like legitimately, because you've like, regardless of what you mean by orange juice, I legitimately have a jug of Tropicana orange juice, and now I've never wanted orange juice, real orange juice,
more than right now. What do you think I mean by orange juice?
Like doing it.
No, it's just orange juice, you pervert. What's wrong with you? No, it's just orange juice. Yeah, no, it's just orange juice. I don't know where you got that notion from, but maybe it was the Careless Whisper playing in the background, or the lighting in here. I'm not sure. But anyways, why did Jane do that? Jane did that because in many condo buildings, not only do they have residents who own the condos, but there's also tenants who are renting. Jane was renting from a guy who owned that unit, and she wanted to get out of her lease. So she tried to create a security concern. And unfortunately, it didn't work for her. The guy was like, no, you're going to keep paying your lease. I don't care about your security problem. Okay. Unfortunately, that's not where the story ends. Things for Dave got a lot worse. They got a lot worse. Jane was feeling rather vindictive. So what she did, she called the Toronto Police Service and made a complaint of a very, very nasty nature, basically accusing Dave of voyeurism and those sorts of things. As you may know, your regular divisional detective isn't probably going to come and investigate that. That'll be detectives from the sex crime squad coming out to have a little chit chat. So a few weeks later, Dave is sitting at home. He's pretty upset. His pregnant, soon-to-be wife is sitting on the couch next to him.
Oh my god!
And there's a knock at the door. And she gets up, answers the door, and there's a couple suits there, and they introduce themselves, show their badges, and they ask if they can come in and talk to Dave. So she invites them in. Dave, who's an aspiring police officer, sits them down, offers them some orange juice, and they start grilling Dave about this voyeurism complaint, and basically accusing of filming her inappropriately, and et cetera, et cetera. Unfortunately, his pregnant, soon-to-be wife left him over this incident and left Dave in shambles. Some things to think about here, guys. You might have a set of master keys where you work. You might find yourself in a situation where you have to enter somebody's suite. And, under the Residential Tenancies Act, the Landlord Tenant Act, there are a number of reasons that permit you as a representative of the building owner or the building management to go into a unit in an emergency situation. Document. Don't go in there alone. Call the building super, call building management, call somebody, call for an extra guard, call for another set of eyes. Do not go into somebody's suite by yourself. You never know what you're going to walk into. Anyway, so that's my story for today. Comes with a little bit of a learning lesson, and hopefully some good tunes. I'm sure Jonathan will find a way to wiggle in Careless Whisper. Or not. But that's my story for today.
All righty. Well, I'm not going to top that story, I'll tell you that. Mine is simply about being properly prepared for work. It's very
important.
This is not going to be a very specific story because it's happened to me many times. Um, and like by many times, I mean like as close to last week. It's not. It just happened.
I'm
So
guilty of it too. I'm guilty of it too.
yeah. So long story short, I'm just gonna merge all these stories together and create a not fiction, but having elements of all the real stories. So
Okay. I like it.
work at ABC Security, doing general uniform security. Um, Weather's really nice. I'm not the type of guy that's smart enough to actually check the weather before I leave the house. Or you know what? I will check, but I'll check the current weather. I don't check, oh, what's it going to be like in 5 hours from now? Not realizing I'm on an 8-hour shift, so it actually is relevant information of what it's going to be like 5, 7, 8, 6, 8 hours from now, right?
Right.
I just realized I did not count properly there. 5, 7, 6.
Just all over the place.
Coffee. I need coffee. So I show up. I'm like, okay, it's great. I'm just gonna wear my uniform shirt, my vest. My regular uniform. I don't need a sweater. I don't need a jacket, a hat. So I go to work. Didn't realize that the temperature is gonna drop drastically during the shift, and rain. So one thing viewers on the show might not know, but my friends know, is I'm a big baby with my hair. See Hansi's nice little state trooper cut where you're going to get 100% chance of a ticket. Well,
Oh yes.
I mean, gotta gel it and all that, but I have a similar sort of cut, not as tight on the sides as his there, but I might do that on my next one. I cut my own hair because of barbershops and stuff being open and closed. I don't deal with that stress. I like to gel my hair, and I'm a big baby with my hair looking bad. And one of the things that will wash out gel is rain.
Yep.
So you can imagine my displeasure when I showed up to work. It was fine for the first few hours, and then it starts raining and it's cold. So all I've got is my uniform shirt and my vest and my regular uniform. No sweater, no jacket, no hat. I know it's odd, but every episode we've filmed so far, I've worn a hat. It's simply because it's just been on my days off. I'm lazy. I don't gel my hair on my days off sometimes, so I just throw on the hat. Maybe next time we'll see my regular hair. Yeah, so I my gels wash out of my hair and it's all like poofy and all that, and it just looks stupid. I hated it. I was soaked. I was cold. It was an overall miserable shift. I have an actual. I'll mention one time this happened to me back in 2013. I was working for a company, and I also did not bring my jacket. This was in August, and we were doing overnight security for a event where we were watching a bunch of different equipment and like sporting equipment and whatnot. And we didn't have, it was really really warm during the day. It was August, warm here in Ottawa, and I forgot the fact that it gets cold in the middle of the night. So I didn't bring my jacket. Neither did my partner. I did have a partner. This is a little bit earlier in my time in security, so I was a little less wise. And we got so cold that we didn't cuddle, but my partner and I huddled up, and we're in these little like balls.
Were you the big spoon or the little spoon?
There was no spoon, okay? There was just two pods right next to each other.
So you're like the fork and he's like the spoon without a big spoon.
It's just two forks.
Okay. Not forking though, right? Just making sure. Not forking?
No.
Okay. Just making sure. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that. It's 2021.
It was terrible. Global came by. Was looking for his guards, actively patrolling. Was like, what the hell are you guys doing? So that was the time where we're like, yeah, we didn't have any jackets and stuff, and we looked really stupid. And the moral of the story here, considering I'm all over the place here, is make sure you bring bring a jacket. If you're working, even I don't care if it's a warm day, bring a jacket, bring a sweater, bring a hat. Bring extra of whatever you need. If you don't think, bring your uniform items. They were issued to you for a reason. If your employer didn't issue them to you, ask them to.
Absolutely.
And I know it can be a little hard for people that take the bus. I know in the security industry, not everyone drives. Just one thing, just tossing at least a jacket and a hat in your bag. It's really important. For me, I carry all this in here, my 511 Wingman patrol bag. Just keep it in my car.
Smart move.
Yeah, and I always keep I took it out for the purposes of this video, but my sweater, my hat, my jacket, a few other things. It's really important to, not just prepare in terms of gear-wise for work, but just basic, I know we're talking about security, but just remember all the basic things you learned just growing up, bring a jacket with you, bring extra clothes with you. Things happen. Sometimes I've packed extra socks.
Yep.
Look ahead at the weather. I have so many pairs of boots. I'll tell you right now, my girlfriend hates that I have so many boots. And they all look the same to her too. They're all black boots, right? And I'm just like, no, these ones are Gore-Tex. Oh, these are nice side zip. These are for my 511 ATACs. These are
same here.
My Under Armours, right? So they all have their own purpose. But
that's right.
Wear the appropriate footwear. For instance, if it's going to be really rainy, okay, well, probably a day to wear Gore-Tex boots, right? If it's going to be really hot during the day, if you have breathable boots, right? Like I have my Under Armour Ballset 2.0 or something like that, and I find they're very comfortable and breathable, right? So like, just plan ahead, right? We're all adults here now. I assume you are if you're in the security industry. But be an adult. Dress yourself. Dress appropriately. This is really important because you're going to freeze and you're going to do the same things I did. And I don't want anyone to do what I did because I know I look stupid. I don't want you to look stupid at the same time, right? And like I said, this is still something that I try to remember to do. Like, I've showed up to work without, being too cold. Like a week ago. So this isn't like back in my day, I learned this sort of stuff. No, it's like, oh no, like I'm pretty sure I did a video less than a week ago. Just think, this guy did something dumb after he filmed the video, right? So that's one of the things that we're all in our own journey, right? We're all trying to learn still, and I'll tell you right now, if I make another mistake where I'm like, this is a great topic for a video, I'm gonna be sure to tell everyone, right? It's that's important. That's why we have, it's the Canadian Security Professionals Network, but at the same time, we try to be professional, of course, but we try to show you our genuine selves as well, right? I can do a video if you want with me wearing a tie and being like, in order to be a security professional, you need to, and it's going to be like death by PowerPoint, right? So
absolutely.
We're trying to be genuine with everyone, right? So that's why we're telling you stories from our lives. And
is that what you guys want? Do you want PowerPoints? Like PowerPoints and more PowerPoints and
death by PowerPoint?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a PowerPoint ranger.
No,
we don't need any PowerPoints.
No, we don't.
Whew.
Power down, Brad. We don't need PowerPoints.
Okay, we're good. We're good. Glad we avoided that catastrophic event. But no, I mean, you bring up a lot of good points there. A lot of that comes back to health and safety too. I found out a really, really interesting fact going back to early 2000s. Many of you might remember the old OPP Stetsons. Do you remember those, John? The OPP wore those big trooper hat Stetsons.
Yeah.
Do you know why they switched to those instead of the forage caps that every other police service wears?
No clue. I mean, I personally thought the Stetsons looked cool.
I thought they looked great. Turns out every member friggin' hated them. They were terrible for what they were doing. I know a lot of guys, apparently they would just randomly blow off on the highway. They're standing at the side of the road. They've got a guy pulled over, big truck blows by, and poof, there goes the hat. It's gone. Apparently they bought those hats and issued them because some officer got skin cancer because his neck was constantly exposed. That was the purpose of the hat. I don't know about you. I think it would have been cheaper to probably just issue, SPF 30,
Yeah,
everybody,
yeah. And that's
right?
and that's
But
another. Yeah, it's not just clothing, but on warm days, on sunny days, if you're gonna be outside, wear sunglasses, right?
stay
Um,
hydrated. Orange juice.
Drink water. Yeah, you'll see my bag here. I have a water bottle. There's a reason why. I don't feel like passing out. I've done that
Yep.
a few times back when I was in Army Cadets. You look stupid. So bring an extra mask. There was one time I used the bathroom, and my mask just fell in the toilet. I think I'm fishing that out.
No.
Because I didn't want to clog the toilet. But I threw it out immediately. I didn't,
Yep.
I'm not trying to save this and right. But prepare for the unexpected, or at least something that's reasonably, I don't get me wrong, I wasn't asking for my mask to fall in the toilet, but once it did, you know, I'm not gonna walk around with no mask, right? We're all trying to flatten the curve here, right? So
Yep.
it's important to just understand the kind of duties you're going to be doing, right? The sort of the weather that you're going to be exposed to, and how long you're going to be there, right? For instance, another thing, it's over there. If you're at a site that permits you to use your phone for professional or relevant reasons, are you going to be on a 12-hour shift? Is your phone going to last that long? Do you have somewhere to charge it, right? For me, I always keep a little extra battery pack. Well, you know what? I'll pull it out. Exactly. So,
I got like 2 or 3 of these things. You can't go wrong with a battery pack.
Yeah. So I've got,
And the relevant cables, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't want to be that guard that's like sitting on the floor in the mall with a teeny little cord plugged into the wall. Hey, I'm charging my phone, guys. Looks real professional.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's very basic. They're not all that expensive, and they're going to save you a large, a huge headache for sure.
Yep.
And
I think I got this one here. This is like a 20,000 milliamp battery. I can charge my phone about 3 or 4 times on it from empty to full. You get a lot of good use out of it. No, I think it only cost me maybe 40, 50 bucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Scheme of things, it's not terrible.
Exactly. And I know there's, like you said, like in terms of, there are uses for phones, right? Phones can do a lot of different things, right? Yep. If your employer asks, I know one person who works at a specific site where he has to actually do the reports on his phone, right? So, and I've personally never been a fan of that, because in terms of public perception, I could be doing a report on my phone, but all you see is just,
a security guard playing on Facebook, playing games.
Is he typing up a report or on his phone? And did I just message Hansi blah blah on Facebook, or did I just?
He did.
Or did I type up a report, right? So
now we know. But no, you're 100% bang on. I see another perspective too. Like there's the officer safety perspective. For me, I've worked at places where you got to do the phone thing. Yeah. I'll try to duck into a corner where I'm still visible, but I got to bury my head into my phone, and in doing so, I'm not paying attention to what's happening around me. Yeah. I think it opens the door for anyone to come up and take advantage of that moment where your guard is down.
Oh, right? Absolutely. And another thing I'm going to go on a tangent with, because I am a huge, passionate fan of it now, and it's because of security actually, is watches. I love watches. Everything from expensive to non-expensive. So I have more non-expensive than expensive, of course.
Same.
Security. Uh, for instance, like this is not one of the watches I wear at work, but um, the reason why I started wearing watches was simply because I know there's a lot of people that say, "Well, your phone check, your phone shows the time, right?" Like I've got it right here; it'll show the time. You can't see; it shows the time. But now you've got your device, which depending on the device is at least it's hundreds of dollars, right? And how terrible would it be if someone just came and just smacked your phone out of your hand or something?
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah, or
I've seen that happen to a guard. I know a guard, poor decision. He's interacting with a bunch of skateboarders at a mall, and I don't know why, what he was thinking, but it was like, what time is it? And he pulls the phone out to trespass these kids.
yeah,
And the one kid just slapped the top of it out of his hand, went down to the ground, no case, shattered the phone.
it's
Kids
terrible.
laughed and all booked it. And the guard's standing here going,
Yeah,
what now?
and like I understand wanting to know the time at that usually at that time, but that's why I got a watch, right? I started with a really cheap watch because I don't want to pull my phone out. I'm gonna look at the time. Then I just started loving watches. So right here is an Invicta 8926 OB.
Very nice. Very quality watch.
Yeah, it's only actually like $130. It's an automatic movement. It's got a Seiko NH35 movement. It's suddenly going to turn into a watch channel. And, it's very inexpensive. I've actually worn this for loss prevention a few times just because it's inexpensive, and if something happens to it, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
I am the type of person that would purchase a Rolex if I did have the money. I don't, so I don't have a Rolex.
Neither do I.
But I would not wear that at work. So even a cheap watch, and if you're looking for a good quality watch, honestly, Timex. If you're looking for something cheap and good quality, Casio, Timex, those are both really, really good watches.
Absolutely.
Very durable. Got a bunch.
You can get a Timex Ironman for what, like $25-$35.
Oh yeah, absolutely, right.
Like,
I know G-Shocks are fairly popular with the policing and security industry, right? And for me, I personally wear an Apple Watch. It's really weird. I know my Apple Watch is more expensive than this, but I would actually be more sad about this breaking than my Apple Watch.
Same here.
I love more vintage style watches. This one is more based off like a Rolex Submariner, which I definitely can't afford. So this is the closest I have for now, and I really love it. But an Apple Watch, I find it's very functional. If I'm walking a lot, I get to track my steps, my heart rate, all that stuff. And same with notifications. I get it. It's 2021. We're all connected to our phone in some way when we're working. I'm not saying don't look at your phone at all during shift, right? That's just not realistic at this point. Yeah. I understand you're going to check something once in a while. And, the important thing is to give off a professional, perspective to everyone, right? So if you're pulling out your phone all the time, it's not a good look, right?
No.
So I know either way, no matter what I say, people are going to check their notifications. I do it. Everyone does it.
Same here.
It's better to just sort of be like, yes, Brad just shared a funny video of like a cat falling off a bed or something, as opposed to like, I don't watch the whole video, but I mean, like, just look at the notification and be like, okay, so you know what it is.
Nothing urgent, nothing pressing. That can wait.
Absolutely, right? I've had coworkers call me, and for some reason, I could feel my Apple Watch vibrating on my arm better than I could feel my phone vibrating in my vest or my pocket or wherever it is. So it does help in that aspect. But having a watch and being able to just check the time like this, for one, in terms of officer safety. Say you're dealing with something, you're about to write a trespass. Now you're like, oh, what time is it? Okay, it's 9:50. You get into a fight. I've got now 3 things in my hand, as opposed to this. And no matter what people say, no one's going to just immediately drop their phone just to get into it. They're going to get
never
with the phone in their hand, right? At least with this, I check the time, something pops off. I've got 2 very, very inexpensive things that I could just drop, right? It's in my opinion overall safer. It's a watch, right? If something happens to it, you can replace that. It's going to be way cheaper than a phone. I'll tell you that. So,
Yep.
no
No, you're bang on.
Yeah.
You make a good point too. I know I watched and I've got it here somewhere. I think it'll make a great video for down the road. A body cam use of force situation where I think it's a Florida sheriff somewhere down in Florida is engaged with somebody. One thing leads to another. He's got a bunch of crap in his hands and has to transition to his firearm. And you can see he doesn't drop anything. He just goes to the firearm with the notebook in his hand, pen in the other hand with the phone, and he's trying to hold the firearm with a notebook, pen, and phone. Right. I get it. Right. It is what it is, but it highlights some officer safety issues. If you've got stuff in your hands, you need to try to keep them clean and clear.
Yeah.
Obviously, in our industry, that's not always going to be the case, but you know, a notebook and a pen are a lot easier to drop than you know, an $1,100 iPhone or
absolutely,
Android or whatever it is that you carry.
Things like that where you're, you know, not dropping stuff. It's human nature, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
drop things you have, right? So the important thing is to sort of set yourself up in a way where when that human nature sort of takes place, which I mean, it's going to happen anyways, right? You can train yourself to try to prevent it, but you know, those certain things, but it's one way or another, it's going to happen somehow.
Yeah.
No matter how minute. So you want to at least try to minimize the effect of that, right? So now, you know, checking time on the watch, right? It's one less thing that I don't have to drop it. It's attached to my wrist, right?
Yeah.
So that's sort of where I'm getting at there. So now we're gonna go on to training and gear.
Training and gear. Woo!
Because I want to get this off my desk because this.
All right. Do you want to start?
Yeah. So what I've got here is the 511 Wingman patrol bag. I absolutely love it. It's if you do mobile security or mobile patrol, this is a great companion to have for sure. If you do static security, then this is essentially a bag that is also great. I'll show you a few things what I like about it. So in the front, you've got essentially a clean front. You've got a little spot here. I think you could, Brad. I don't know what to put here. I mean, do you write on it or it's like rubberized?
Yeah, I think you can write your name on that. I know 511's got a few products where I think you write on it with some sort of a white pen.
Okay, interesting.
I know I've seen a number of the products where basically that is what you do. You write on it.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what you'd write on it with, but
yeah. Little white spot here. So obviously this is used. I use this all the time, so that's why you've got. One thing I like about the Wingman is, you know, they also have the Patrol Ready bag, which has pockets already fixed. But I do like this if you're looking for customization. So you've got a spot here where you can add Velcro, you know, a little patch here. So I just throw on, you know, a patch there, right? Tons of patches I can throw on. It's also MOLLE right here, so you can actually weave pouches over this.
Oh,
patch.
nice.
Yeah.
Throw on a first aid kit or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of places to put stuff here. You've got a more MOLLE, of course. Back here, you've got a little slot where you can put a business card or any form of little identifier. And then you can actually attach a seatbelt through here. You see my hand come
Oh yeah, those are the best.
Which is great for when you're doing mobile patrol and someone runs out in front of your car. You gotta slam on the brakes. Now your bag is being yeeted into the next century. Honestly, I don't know what this is. I was told this is for a PR24. Which
is there a second one?
Nope. So
interesting.
I mean, I could see someone sort of having it in the seat here and then throwing it in and then pulling it out when they get out of the car. I don't know for sure, but this
I've got a whole bunch of patrol bags. I've had a number of them, and that usually is what it's for, but there's usually two of them, and it sort of goes across that, like the top of that back seam there.
Yeah, what I do notice is
that seems weird.
This is actually diagonal. So
yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, does LAPD still use PR24s or?
Oh, they're still pretty popular down in the US.
Okay, so I can just imagine maybe you're in the patrol car and then you're getting out and you just pull it out and it's sort of like an angle. That's my guess. I don't know. I do not carry a PR24. So you've got the back end there. You've got another side, just again, Molly. So you can put pouches here, right? And I know some people that love to collect pouches, and they love to. I have tons of pouches. I don't know. Don't put anything here, but it's great for that. It's a highly customizable bag. That's one thing I really like about it. I feel like I personally have not used it to its full potential. So we're gonna get into the front pocket here. So I've got here is, surprise, surprise, more Molly. So the one thing I do like about that is you can at least pretend that this is like sort of like on the chair, on the seat of the passenger seat of the car. So you've got this open. I'll open this in a sec. So it's actually going to be even more, it's sort of like a all in one. You grab stuff, and you have pouches here. So you have tons of things you can grab. Here I've got, thought I hit something. You've got medical tape. I've got a couple pens, Sharpie. I've got an N95 mask here. Here I've got a headset, earpiece, of course. So there's tons of things you can put here. It's got tons of pockets. There's really no shortage of pockets. I've got a yes. Maybe I haven't dug into this bag in a while. The
OLED charger.
My OLED charger, which reminds me I should probably charge my OLED, so I'm going to keep that here. This is from Casey K9 Instruction, who does a lot
Picture of a doggo.
Yeah, I love dogs. Everyone who knows me personally knows I love dogs to a fault. So this is one of the cards he gives out of his K9. It's actually really nice. So I'm going to keep that in there because I love seeing dogs at random times. So yeah, there's that pouch. This compartment here, we've got, put stuff here. You've got, one here, and then up here you've got tons of stuff too. So it's sort of ridiculous how many pockets there are here. In a good way. That's kind of what you want. You want sort of, you want to be organized, right? You want sort of a spot for everything.
Options. It's all about options, guys.
Yeah.
With that, something to just throw out while you're opening that. You don't have to fill every pocket either. I'll just throw that out there. It's just about options.
Yeah. To be fair, this is like I didn't take out too many things. I just took a bunch of like company specific items out of my bag. So those pockets are mostly pretty empty. So you don't have to fill it up with stuff, right? Got up here is so this part is actually really neat. It can unclips here, and you can actually clip it around the headrest of your passenger seat, and this will stay up against your seat. And with this pocket down, you've got like a fully open concept where you can access all of your equipment during a shift. Obviously, this is more ideal if you're working out of a vehicle, like mobile, or get into policing. I know this is a pretty popular bag amongst police officers. So here I've got something I think is very important. I get headaches a lot, so I have Advil. I don't feel like calling in sick and going home a gajillion times a week for shifts. I've got a couple of patches here. I've got a 511 Tactical Gnome and a Pathfinder Tactical patch. I love Pathfinder EDC. It's
nice. I hear that Pathfinder guy is a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, he's super cool. He was able to hook me up with that and a few other patches. Wicked guy, absolutely. Right now is allergy season. I hope no one can tell, but I've been suffering from really bad allergies today. In terms of the stuff, it's not the Rona, so don't worry. It's just seasonal allergies like I get every year. So right now I've got Reactin, allergy medication. So, again, trying to understanding what you will require in order to remain functional and what you need during an 8-hour shift, right? Or a 12-hour or 10-hour shift, right? So for me, not just a jacket, not just sunscreen, not just sunglasses, but I also need Advil and I need Reactin, right? And I think Hansi's going to have to go get a COVID test now because he coughed once.
Yep. No, I got some water that went down the wrong pipe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm all right.
I've got a bunch of medical gloves just because, I carry 2 pairs on my duty belt
Smart.
For medical calls. And once in a while, depending on the site I'm at, I will sort of throw some in some pockets as well. But, you know, it's always important, you know, you might go through more than 2 pairs in a shift, right? So it's important to have more gloves accessible to you, whether it's your employer has some boxes of gloves. I forgot to show the other stuff. So, you know, for me, I might not always have access to gloves, so that's why I have them in a bag here. Great spot to put some morale patches. Just make sure they're professional, because you know, I know there's some people that are like, one patch is like, my idea of help from above is a sniper from a roof. Cool patch.
Cool patch.
Best to put on a you know, on a work bag, right?
Yeah.
Got a spot.
Something like that belongs up on a wall with a bunch of other nasty and inappropriate patches.
Exactly.
Gotta remember, something like that definitely does not scream, "Hi, I'm here to help you."
Yeah, exactly. And I've you know, I've seen some guards with some pretty, you know, unprofessional patches, like, you know.
Yeah, Punisher skulls.
Yeah. Board security, and underneath it, a little tab saying "shit disturber." I'm like, well, you shouldn't be.
Or the shit magnet patch. I know we're all shit magnets in our own regard, but you know, you got to keep it professional.
Yeah, but so, you know, I've got an extra handcuff key here. In my opinion, personally, you can't have too many extra.
No, absolutely.
Last thing you want is anywhere that you carry handcuffs. So what I have here is actually 2 sets of extra handcuffs. So I've got a pair of Smith & Wesson MMP lever locks, a pair of pink Peerless model 750s, pink because of breast cancer.
Nice.
Yeah, so no, they're really...
I got a funny story about those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll get to it at some point.
Inside you've got spots to see. Water is important to have. We've got little dividers that you can move across. So this part here, you can actually move it as to any point throughout the bag. So if you've got something that only needs a divider here or whatnot, you can change that. Here, you're pretty much going to be in the middle. But it is nice to have those options. And you've got, you know, it's really important to have to have a place for everything. It really helps with being organized. I've seen people with patrol bags, and it's just like the messy trunk of a car where they're just digging through stuff, and it's not, you know,
it's not a good look.
Yeah, I mean, you're working in a job where the situations you might deal with aren't going to always be organized. You know, be dealing with disorganized people, disorganized matters. The least you should do is to be able to at least organize yourself. You can't control and fix these problems if you can't, you know, get a handle on yourself and all that jazz.
Oh, absolutely right. You're definitely bang on there. Training. You want to do your certificate now, or?
Sure. So, what got here is a course I did back in February of 2019 through the Canadian Police Knowledge Network. It's the same people that run the private security, PSK, Private Security Knowledge Network. I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So this is a course I did on the autism spectrum disorder. I think anyone that works in a job where you're going to be dealing with these situations with the public, it's really important. There's a lot of different people out there. As I was talking about earlier with that a kid who has autism, right? I don't know if my friend there has taken this course, but he's definitely practicing the fundamentals that are taught in that course, right?
That's awesome.
So you know, it is a spectrum, right? Autism isn't the same for everyone, right? Some people might have a very mild form of autism. Some might have, you know, more a major, you know, more noticeable form of autism. So, you know, that course really helps you know, dealing with those situations in an effective way in a policing / security setting, which is nice because we're not always there to deal with situations that are positive per se, right? So it's important to know how to talk to people who have autism. What might set people off, and so it's all about being the most well-rounded guard you could be, right? So learning not just use of force, or I've got a course on IED awareness and preparedness. I took it because you never know, and also I just like to learn stuff, and almost probably just do courses to a fault at this point because I think I might have an addiction to courses. But even courses like this, they're just as, if not more important, I would say, because you're more likely to deal with someone with autism as opposed to, I don't know, I've never dealt with a bomb, so knock on wood, I hope. I really hope I don't. But courses like that, they're really important. I think anyone that's getting into policing, security, even like any sort of, I would say, responder type. Not just first responders, but just people who respond to different situations should do courses like that and try to expand your knowledge. There's a lot to learn. I did this course in 2019. At that point, I started security back in late 2012. It's never too late to learn. No matter how long you've been in the industry, maybe 8 years. Hansi probably 55 or 80 years.
Back in my day, something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Sure seems like it some days.
Yeah, people like, I don't know, 15 to 17 years. You've never learned so much. You don't know it all, right? There's always the ability to learn. And there's always the need to learn. I try to learn as much as I can still. And at this point, doing this show and admitting the group with Hans and Chris and Ryan. It's sometimes I'll learn something and I'll just try to relay it to everyone. So
yeah, absolutely.
But I want to look what I just learned, right? I do posts, and I'm sure people have seen my posts like I did when I bought this book, Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement. I know we're security and not law enforcement, but I find a lot of things in this book still hit home. And
no, I can definitely echo that. A few years ago, I started seeing a therapist. I'll get into that for another video. I'm very open about my mental health. And I will say in this industry, you have to be open about your mental health. It is one of the few ways to really get out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I'll save that for another video. Anyways, my doctor gave me a copy of that book, and not only did it help me, but I gave it to my wife to read, and I'm sure she's watching this now. I know it helped her too at the end of the day. So it's done both of us a little bit of a service. It's a good book.
Yeah.
So if you can find a copy, definitely snatch it up. I think they only go for about $10 or something, 10 or 15 bucks.
Yeah, I snagged this one at Fundy Tactical here in Ottawa.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and I know Fundy does sell them. I got a free copy, and then I proceeded to drive to Fundy, and I saw a buttload of them there. So Fundy does sell them. But it's a great textbook. And I'll say that too. It's not even that much of a read. I think there's about 100 or so pages in there. It's not a big, thick novel.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
It's pretty thin.
Yeah, it's a pretty thin book.
Yeah, it's got 139.
Yeah. You can probably plow through that in a day. But again, it is a great reference book as well. So something to hold on to and check out down the road.
Yeah.
So with that said, I got a couple things to show off here.
Love gear.
Oh, I'm such a gear guy. Another flashlight. A bandage today, actually. Another bandage. Something different. Again, as a lot of you guys know, I'm a first aid instructor. I'm a stop the bleed instructor. I'm a Narcan, naloxone, O2 administration instructor. So I teach a lot of this stuff. This is what's called an OLAS bandage or an Israeli bandage, etc. When you get these, they come in a very cool little vacuum sealed packet. Do you have one there in the packet by chance?
Bandage, so it's similar.
Just to sort of show. So it comes a little package like that. When you open it and take it out, this is what it kind of looks like. This is one I use for demonstrations, so it's fairly well worn, but it works. Okay. What this is, it's really cool. It's a tensor bandage. What's really neat about this, if you have an average roller bandage, when you open it up and let go of it, it falls to the ground. Right? We've all handled a roller bandage before and have not been careful. What I like about these is every, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches or so, there's a little layer of Velcro there keeping this thing together so that you're not getting this all dirty and contaminated. We'll start with this side here. You'll notice there's a little plastic cup that helps create tension on the wound, and on the other side, we've got this little packet. Now, this is great if you have one wound. It's still very usable if you have 2. So if you have one wound, notice there's a little pocket here. Just close up the pocket. You're going to put this onto whatever is bleeding and wrap it up real tight. This opens up, gets pretty long, and because it's a tensor bandage, it allows you to apply some serious direct pressure onto whatever's bleeding. So these are great for moderate bleeds. If you have something where there's an entrance and an exit wound, you can open up this little packet and it's full of all kinds of gauze. So you can take this out, pack the other wound. This goes on one wound, this goes on the other wound, and then you wrap it up with the OLAS bandage. Okay. These can be used in conjunction with tourniquets. Yeah, very, very effective hemorrhaging control tool. Unlike the tourniquet, doesn't really need a lot of training to use and implement, so they're handy in that regard. Anybody can buy these. Again, I'd suggest that if you're going to learn about bleeding, take a Stop the Bleed course. Jonathan and I are both instructors. I am taking a little bit of a back seat right now with the Rona going on, but once things open up, I'm going to be offering it pretty regularly.
Yeah, I'm sort of, limiting my contact with the people as much as I can.
Yeah, no, I'm taking a huge step back from teaching starting the next week. Just this is out of control here in Ontario.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah. Now with that said too, when things open up, I think I put out a post on the group recently. If you're looking for first aid, I can deliver standard first aid. I can deliver the Narcan, O2, and all those other courses. I have a 2-day program that I teach from our industry's perspective. So if you've taken a first aid course, they've taught you the basics. That's great. There are things that I will teach you that involve officer safety, that involve communication. And when I teach the scenarios, it's delivered from our concept. So if you're looking for a more hands-on security law enforcement type of first aid course, let me know. Comment on that post I put up a few days ago. I'd like to put a small class together and get some feedback. Again, I'm all about training, train all day long. As Jonathan mentioned a few minutes ago, he's got 8 minutes. He's got 8 years in the industry, and he's still learning, and that's great. And I want to echo that as a guy who's got nearly 21 years in the industry. Back in my day, I'm still taking courses. A couple of years ago, I went and I got my CPO. Okay. So I recently sent Jonathan the textbook. I want to get him his CPO. Okay. CPO, great program to get, guys. You can get this really nice certificate. You can throw it up on the wall. You get some other cool little tidbits here. I had a pin on that thing and it fell, but it comes with a nice little pin. I'm also a CPOI, which is the instructor program. So I can not only take the course, I can teach the course and I can proctor tests and stuff but you get a fancy little pin that goes with it. This is my CPOI pin. You get a fancy CPO pin with the CPO program. I'm also taking the CSSM program that the IFPO offers right now, and trying to get through that. Got the fancy textbook right here. So guys, it's all about training. It's all about trying to better yourselves at the end of the day. And, that's why Jonathan and I and Chris and Ryan, we all do this, right? We want to better the industry and throw out some recommendations.
Another good book, since Brad's got it there too, is the
yes, the Law Enforcement Handbook.
Yeah, this one
fantastic little textbook.
A little well worn because I've read it many times. It's an older book, you can tell when it was written. It was a little older, but it's still a really good book. I learned a lot of fundamentals.
Yep.
In patrolling and surveillance. Not so much surveillance, but for me, I sort of adapted it into more of a loss prevention setting.
Yeah.
So following people on the street.
Context is important. I've read that book dozens of times. I've got my own copy here. Obviously, it's designed for police officers and such, but a lot of it is very, very adaptable to what we're trying to do here, whether you're working in a community type setting like a mall or a college or something like that, or if you're working loss prevention. There's still a lot of very, very handy and very relevant information in that book.
I really liked specifically this one part where they talk about building rapport and how important that is and how that
absolutely
benefits you. That's it's a small book, but it's got a lot of really good information, and you can adapt it into sort of what we do as opposed to the police. It is a lot of great lessons, a lot of great information in there. Same with learning about learning about emotional survival for law enforcement. That's really important. You can't help anyone if you can't help yourself. Mental health is just as, if not more important than physical health.
If I can, I want to touch on that real quick. That lesson right there took me like 15 years to learn, guys. Take your mental health very seriously. I'll say this. A lot of people are really quick to just sort of stack the problems up. You're going to get to a point where you get comfortable doing it, and then you're going to reach a point where you stacked too high. And
and I know the industry has that stigma where we deal with a lot of screwed up things, and you got to have a strong mind. And you know what? It's okay not to be okay. It's it's no one, we all have our own demons to deal with, and no one should have to go through it alone, right? For all we know, you could have a team where everyone's sort of dealing with maybe some problems, and if no one talks about it, then maybe no one knows that, hey, pretty much everyone on my team is also dealing with some problems. So you know what? Maybe if you're able to talk about it, then you realize you're not the only one, right? And then everyone can hopefully come together and sort of help one another, and that's really important. The CPO, I haven't read it fully yet because it's my first time. I don't have my CPO certification, but I'm working on it. And, pardon?
Yet.
Yes.
Yet.
But from what I've read so far, there's a lot of great information, and I can't wait to go through it all and do my exam and hopefully get my CPO certification. I will get it. I'll just do the exam over and over again until I do, but no, I'll do the first one. A lot of great material out there. We're doing our best to sort of bring as many resources as we can to you, and in a hopefully interactive way, right? We love taking questions from you. Unfortunately, we don't have any questions from anyone for this episode, but we're always looking for more questions and topic suggestions. There's a lot of other great resources out there other than us, of course. We're just trying to sort of niche it to the Canadian security industry. There's a lot of picking and choosing, and a lot of things that are more geared towards the American style of things. But as close as they may seem in terms of the job, the culture is a little different. The actual job is different. There's a lot of people are talking about armed guards and armed guards for general patrol. We don't have that here in Canada, right? our only armed guards are for like valuable transport and stuff like that. So it's
there is a very very small niche area for that, but it is so incredibly rare. I know Garda World has a very very small section where when you look at these cash and transit guys and these armed guards, they're not security guards in Ontario. They don't fall under the PSISA. Garda World does have a very, very small section where they actually have security guards that carry all the use of force options, handcuffs, baton, which a normal cash and transit guy isn't carrying.
Yeah.
So
and I mean,
exists, but it's so ridiculously, incredibly rare.
Yeah.
That it's non-existent to a point.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's why we're just trying to bring in as many resources as we can to talk to to help you learn, right? We're planning on bringing people in also on the show that may know more than us, or maybe know an area that we don't know, and we're not like Brad and I are just two people that Brad's done security way longer, but that have done security and sort of gone through our journey and are still going through it. We're just trying to pass on what we've learned, but we definitely don't know it all, right? So we're going to try to, if we don't know it, we'll, find someone that does, right? And
absolutely,
that's sort of the end goal here. So with that, I mean, I think we're going to close out our third episode. Yep. Do you have anything you want to say, Brad, before we close?
No, this is so far. I mean, we're 3 episodes in. This has been a great journey. I'm looking forward to doing more of this. And I know Jonathan and I, we've talked, and part of the plan is to, once we kind of figure out a name, but we're going to try to put out a couple more episodes, much shorter, more condensed episodes through the week that, whether it's a gear review or just maybe a general discussion on something very, very minimal, like a 15-20 minute kind of video. We'll see a few of those coming out here and there. So
yeah,
more content is coming, guys. We want to make this as interactive as possible. So, don't hesitate to either reach out to us at cspnconnect@gmail.com, or, you can reach out to us individually as well. And we're happy to help you guys out and point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. And, if you have any topics that you want to know, you want to learn about, or any questions that you want to ask us, you can ask us, right? You can ask us and remain anonymous, or you can ask us certain questions or suggest topics. And, if you're fine with your name, then absolutely, just like how Cole last episode gave us our last topic. Of course, he gave us permission to use his name, but, if you're not comfortable with that, or you have a story you want to tell, that's absolutely fine. We're more about, getting the information out, right? So if people want to know something, then absolutely, let's figure it out, right? So with that said, if you have any questions or topic suggestions, you shoot us an email at cspnconnect@gmail.com. I'll put the email down at the bottom here. And is there anything else there, Brad? I know I just asked you like a couple seconds ago, so
9. No, I'm good.
Thank you, Hansi.
Sorry, Hansi came out there. No, I think this has been good. I hope this was an informative episode, and I think our sort of end topic there on mental health probably be a good segue into episode 4. What do you think?
Absolutely, yeah, I think so.
So yeah, I've got some interesting stories to share, and I'll even explain how one of my more devastating incidents has sort of led me into a side gig that sort of allowed me to confront my issues. So hopefully I can help some people out.
Absolutely, and that's what we're here for, right? Helping people. All right.
Absolutely. Stay frosty, guys.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys.